else give me mine. Well, the last time I sang on audition, somebody in junior year, so maybe I should have.
Okay, yeah. And it's the one just straight down the center.
No, don't go there. It's the office right at the end of here. And they're in the back corner. You don't have to go. I'm not sending you to the walls ever again.
Team Mexico. En première, vote sur le centre, numéro 22. Batting first, center fielder number 22, Savannah Wisoki. Batting second base, number 16, Marlene Espinoza. En troisième, batting fourth, numéro 8, batting third. Shortstop, number 8, Julian Celis. En quatrième, vote sur le gauche, numéro 96, batting fourth, left fielder number 99, Lima Rebolero. En cinquième, chauffeur numéro 86, batting fifth, playing first base, number 86, Diana Estrada. En sixième, vote sur le droit, numéro 3, batting sixth, right fielder number 3, Adeline Robin. En septième, receveur numéro 2, batting seventh, catcher number 2, Alejandra Casas. En huitième, en troisième, numéro 4, batting eighth, playing third base, number 4, Kimberly Rojas. En neuvième, joueuse désignée numéro 23, batting ninth, designated player number 23, Stefania Aradias. Position flex also numéro 9, in the flex position, pitching number 9, Rassi Miranda. Les substituts, the alternate, numéro 1, number 1, Alexandra Aguilar. Numéro 15, number 15, Alexia Lopez. Numéro 18, number 18, Lindsay Lopez. Numéro 29, number 29, Yanina Trevino. Numéro 27, number 27, Alisa Rebolero. Numéro 21, number 21, Emily Bracamonte. Team Mexico. Les arbitres pour ce match qui offert sur this game. Mom at home plate, Annie Michaud. Premier but at first base, Nicolas Energia. Au deuxième but at second base, Mike Sanchuk. Au troisième but at third base, Jonas Crisantes. Mesdames et messieurs, les membres de l'Europe, si vous en êtes capables, retirez chapeaux et casquettes pour l'interprétation des hymnes nationaux de l'Australie et du Mexique. Ladies and gentlemen, please all rise if you are able. Remove your hats and caps for the national anthems of Australia and Mexico. Bonne chance aux deux équipes et bon match. Thanks for watching both games. Have a great year.
Welcome back as Playoff Saturday continues at softball's 2023 Canada Cup on fantastic Saturday in South Surrey, British Columbia. We have been blessed with terrific weather all week long. You take a look at Four Diamonds. We are calling games from the number one diamond all week long. And we have our first single elimination playoff game with Team Australia, who finished 7th in round robin play with a record of 1-6. Annie Michaud, Nicola Auger, Mike Simchuki, and Jonas Christensen are today's umpires. And Mexico actually had an opportunity in a thrilling game last night that went to 2 extra innings. It was the final game of the round robin as you get a look at their starting lineup and their batting lineup. They will pitch and defend first. They jumped into a 4-0 lead in a game to decide the all-important 4th place and an opportunity to have a double life rather than to start the playoffs as teams 5 through 8 do in single elimination. But they gave up 2 runs in the bottom of the 7th that tied it. Italy in the bottom of the 8th drew even again on a Mackenzie Barbara home run, and Italy finally won it 7-6 in the bottom of the 9th, and that ended up leaving Mexico in 6th behind 5th place Israel in the round robin. Israel on the other diamond right now. We'll try to keep you abreast of that other single elimination game between the 5th place finishing Team Israel and 8th place finishing Greece. So earlier today, Japan with an 8-1 victory over Team Italy. And in the other contest, one of the games of the tournament, it was Canada falling in an extra inning 2-1 to Triple Crown Colorado, back for a second year and looking to earn their way into a second consecutive final as Racy Miranda works the starter for Team Mexico. And the leadoff batter is one of the young Australians. This is Australia's development team, or as they call them, the A team here in this tournament. Kimberly Rodas, and her throw gets away at first base. Kimberly has not played a lot over at third. In fact, she hasn't played a lot in the tournament as she's forced to go to her left, and that throw gets away from first base player Kiana Estrada. And Chelsea Robinson, one of the more impressive youngsters on this Australian development team, their number one team, their national team, the Aussie Spirit, is participating right now in one of 3 World Cup stage qualifiers, the first of 3 going over in Ireland, along with the United States and Great Britain. They have been the top 3 teams over there so far. Batter is second base player Hira Kuraharu. In the tournament, Kuraharu is 5 for 17. She's batting .294 and has a run batted in. Robinson, the batter, at first. Chelsea is 26 years of age. She's from Adelaide. Was 8 for 29 earlier this year. In the Australian Women's National Championship, where they put together state all-star teams. And this batter, born in Osaka, Japan, is Harari Kuraharu, or on the lineup card. Hari for short. Having a good tournament. It's her second consecutive Canada Cup for Kurahara from Queensland. Espinoza over to the Mexico star of this tournament, Jillian Solis, and when she comes to bat in the bottom of the first inning, I'll tell you about her spectacular numbers. So the force out, 4-6, Espinoza to Solis, and there's one away as Hira Kuraharu reaches on a fielder's choice. Brings Millie Fidge to the plate. Amelia is her true given name, and quite a character from all accounts. I know that Amanda Fama, who is taking a bit of a break in this game, and I suggested it before she comes back for the final two of the day, had a great visit with this young Australian team. They're having a fabulous time, and why wouldn't they? I mean, this is a mecca of softball, the area, the diamonds, the park. It's as special a layout as you will find, arguably, in the world. Off Racy Miranda's glove, and it's going to be a base hit for Millie Fidge. And Australia with runners at first and second is Racy Miranda, who's coming off her college season at Cal State Fullerton University. About to face the top hitter, and came here as their number one pitcher, and still is, in 27-year-old Steph Trzynski. But at the plate, she's 5 for 8, batting .625. One of Mexico's 2 wins came at the expense of Australia during the round robin. Their other against 0-7 Greece, playing Israel on the other diamond. And Racy Miranda just misses outside to Steph Trzynski, who is back for a second consecutive year. She was on the national team, Aussie Spirit, at this event in 2022. It was a 12-team tournament. This year, 8. And it would be absolutely awesome. And I know Greg Tim and his incredible committee, volunteers, so much work goes into this event. Always trying to grow it into not just a better softball tournament, but a true event. We've talked all week about the inspiration of sport. Pride Night last night, paying tribute to the Indigenous community, and really a big program here to give underprivileged children a chance to come watch these great athletes. And that's a big part of what's going on. And it has not been a terrific start so far for Racy Miranda, who came into that game last night in the 7-6 9-inning extra inning loss to Italy late, and end up taking the loss in that game. Racy has pitched 16 innings in the tournament, given up just 2 runs, 16 hits, struck out 11, and walked 2. And a special thank you all week. And he's been one of the busiest guys here is Brian Aratus, a computer whiz. And without him, we would not bring you some of the information that all his statistical work in his group has certainly provided us access with. And it's very important access to keep you up to date on all the individual happenings of these respective players, as Miranda this time does find the strike zone on the outside corner against Elisa Miguel, playing over at first base. The bases are loaded in this elimination game. The losers, Canada Cup, will come to a conclusion. And the same can be said over on Diamond 2 for Israel and Greece, as Miranda tries to settle in. Hard hit off the glove of Kiana Estrada, steps on the bag, but it's a ball that handcuffs the first baseman and allows Australia to score the game's first run. And still with 2 runners in scoring position. So a run batted in for Elisa Miguel. And had it been handled cleanly, it might have ended the top of the first inning with a double play as Taylor Chillingworth comes in to run for Millie Fidge, who has the 1 hit in this inning. So Australia's A team, or development team, on the board first in this single elimination playoff game between the teams that finished 6th, Mexico, and 7th, Australia, after the 7-game round robin. Center fielder Rhiannon Kemp in the batter's box. She's 24. She's from Brisbane. Back for her second straight Canada Cup. And Kiana Estrada, the 19-year-old from Chino Hills, California, ends the inning. Good start for Australia. They lead Mexico by a count of 1-0. Is Mexico coming to bat at Softball City on playoff Saturday in South Surrey. Yes, on this hot day in South Surrey, the fans, the hats, the sunscreen are in order. What a day to just sit back and watch some premier women's softball, as this Canada Cup has been around for a long time. And it just gets better and better and better. Grounds crew has done an excellent job. It's a very difficult job to keep all 4 diamonds because this is not the only portion of the Canada Cup. There are also 2 under-19 tournaments being played, futures and gold, and the same can be said for the under-17 portion of this Canada Cup. So it is a massive undertaking as Millie Fidge set to work, had a key base hit in the top of the first inning. She has pitched 10 1/3. Yes, umbrellas are necessary too. In this part of the world for about 4 months, they're very necessary for other reasons. When it's very wet, not necessarily cold winters, if you are unfamiliar with Canada, but very rainy in this part of the world, and a beautiful part of the world. And I highly recommend the area if you've never been and just are looking for a vacation. When it is nice in Vancouver and area, it's about as good as it gets. As Savannah Wysocki squares but takes ball 1 from Millie Fidge. 10 1/3 innings she's pitched. She's given up 7 runs, 12 hits, struck out 8, and walked 8. As the pitch, a drop, is well outside. To the leadoff batter once again today, Savannah Wysocki. And she's playing in center field today. She's played all 3 outfield positions this week. She's from El Paso, Texas, and played collegiately at Lubbock Christian University in Lubbock, Texas. Was 8 for 20 last year here at the Canada Cup and having another strong tournament. She's 6 for 16, batting .375 as she fouls that away, and the count runs even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Wysocki was 3 for 11 and had a hit against the Australian national team at last summer's World Games in Birmingham, Alabama. Fidge, changeup, and it runs the count full. These 2 teams met on Thursday during round-robin play, and Mexico was victorious by a count of 5-1. Right back at Fidge, and she takes care of Wysocki with a good fielding play by the pitcher at first, as Australia able to load the bases and cash in 1 in the top half as they look to pull an upset here this afternoon in a must-win to keep their tournament hopes alive for both teams. Marlene Espinoza is the batter, tries to lay down a bunt for a base hit, and fouls it away. Espinoza has been impressive this week. Really liked her work defensively in particular. Only 1 hit as she flies to straightaway center, and an easy play for Rhiannon Kemp. As Millie Fidge, who helped supply herself a run with a base hit in the top of the first, looks comfortable to start this game. No one has been comfortable against Jillian Solis She's 11 for 18. 3 home runs, 7 runs batted in. Hit 2 home runs last night in that comeback triumph or loss, pardon me, to Italy in the final game of the round robin by a score of 7-6 in 2 extra innings. And Solis ended up walking her last 3 times at bat after homering her first 2 times. A 3-run shot, her first at bat, and then a solo shot, both of those to center field. And she has had a superb week here in Surrey. And will be a tough out for anyone, and has been, that she faces. Solis is from Corona, California. Hit .348. Only 3 home runs, which is a little surprising watching her hit this week, but did drive in 30 runs at San Diego State. She helped Mexico win a Pan Am championship bronze medal, not a Pan Am Games. There is a difference. In her college career, she's averaged .314 and has 88 runs batted in. And it's her second straight Canada Cup. She batted .316 here for Team Mexico, a team that is very much in transition after finishing 4th at the Summer Olympic Games. Even more so than Canada, as Solis draws a 4th consecutive walk in her last 4 plate appearances. Left fielder Lena Reboledo, one of 2 Reboledos. She's from Riverside, California. Just finished her college season at Utah Valley College. The steal attempt and an excellent throw from Maddie Baker to throw out Jillian Solis. And Australia with a nice start to this elimination playoff game in South Surrey, where they lead it 1-0 after 1. Ticanis. I only know, Dave, about 9 Greek words, and 7 of them are no good. Yeah, I know that one too.
I didn't realize you were Greek.
Yeah, half, the bad half.
Did you know Joanne's Greek? Next door here.
Yes. Yeah. With a name like Dimitris, I thought there was a pretty good chance.
How the hell did a Greek end up on the prairies?
Oh, there's lots of them.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yep, absolutely.
I thought they all came, like, settled in the Toronto area or out here in the West Coast.
No, there's a huge community of them in Montreal, an area too.
Yeah.
who opened the game with a base hit. The more veteran player, she's 26. Fakes the bunt on a line. Espinoza in time to Solis. And had spoken of the fine work defensively for Marlene Espinoza. And she shows it off right here. Goes to her right and turns it in to an inning-ending double play. And maybe that will kickstart Mexico in this single elimination playoff game here at Softball City. Australia in front of Mexico on this playoff Saturday at the Canada Cup. The 8-team women's international competition is what we have been focusing on. Again, great to have you with us, no matter where you might be looking in. Special hello to those of you who might be watching from Australia and Mexico. And anywhere else. Delighted to have you. Lena Reboledo is enjoying a quality Canada Cup. She was at bat to end the first inning when Jillian Solis was thrown out trying to steal second on a fine delivery by catcher Maddie Baker. Reboledo is from Fontana, California. Just completed her first collegiate season at Fresno State for the Bulldogs. Primarily has been found in left field. And takes a changeup for a strike from Millie Fidge. One of two Reboledos on the team. Alyssa, the other. Lena is 3 for 13 in the Canada Cup. Has scored a run, yet to drive in a run, and has made some very good plays in the outfield. Mexico on the hot seat a little bit early, but this game has loads of time remaining in it. And Reboledo draws a leadoff walk to start the bottom of the second. Powerful first base player, Kiana Estrada, out of the University of Arkansas. And she rarely gets cheated. Did not see a lot of time at Arkansas. Only had officially 6 at-bats. It's a really good program the Razorbacks have. Played at last summer's World Games as an 18-year-old for Mexico. 3 for 12. On the run comes Steph Trzynski. And there is one away. in the bottom of the second inning as Estrada makes her way back to the Team Mexico dugout. Japan, Italy, or pardon me, Triple Crown Colorado next. Japan beat Italy. Triple Crown Colorado in a running out of adjectives, but it was a superb game, so well pitched. Hits hard to come by, some great defense. Canada did not have a hit until an RBI double in the extra inning by Erica Polidori. And Hannah Gamble in her second consecutive Canada Cup picked a pretty good time. She had 8 hits in the tournament prior to that at-bat. But with 2 out, she blooped one to left that scored 2, and Triple Crown Colorado to face Japan for the right to play in the tournament final. This jumps over the glove of Chelsea Robinson at short. And Madeline Ruffin, who has been Mexico's designated player, so she's been in the hitting lineup every day, in right field this afternoon. And Mexico has its first hit, and it belongs to Madeline Ruffin. 2 on, 1 out for young catcher Alejandra Casas. Fidge finds the outside corner. Casas is from Perris, California, spelled Perris. Just finished her college season at St. Mary's College. She's played in a couple of, in fact, 3 consecutive international events for Mexico. Played at last year's Canada Cup, played at the World Games, and more recently, late in the year in Guatemala at the 2022 Pan American Championships, won by the United States, and Canada won the silver medal. So Casas has participated in all of those events. Born in the year 2001. Has great speed, good throwing arm. One for 8 so far in the Canada Cup. Last year, she was 6 for 19. A bigger field, however, last year, 12 teams. Split into 2 pools of 6 before we got to the playoffs. This year, just an 8-team field, which for some of the, if you will, building countries, difficult when you're playing Japan for absolute sure. Japan has outscored their opponents here on their way to tonight's winner's bracket final. 68-4 after their 8-1 victory over Italy in today's first winner's bracket game. And I'm equally, if not more, impressed with the 4 than I am the 68, although they're batting well over 400 as a team and have 68 runs in 8 games. That's more than 8 a game. They have yet to require 7 innings here. Caught in between bases and thrown out is Lena Reboledo, who thought she had slid underneath the tag. So the throw behind her from Baker, Kirihara, to Neve Adams, who will end up applying the tag.
Australia leads 1-0.
And the third base umpire with an emphatic call out. 1-0 Australia with the wind, just the breeze keeping it almost perfect at Softball City. Australia, 3 hits and a run. Mexico has committed 1 error, and Racy Miranda set to work. Her 3rd straight inning. She has been just barely the busier of their top 2 pitchers. The other is University of Washington standout, Lindsay Lopez. Lopez played for Triple Crown, Colorado, here last year. The bunt by Hirari Kurihara. And you couldn't lay that down any better if you tried. A well-executed leadoff bunt by Hira Kuriharu. Born in Osaka, Japan, where her softball hero has been the all-time great pitcher, Yukiko Ueno. And I won't be surprised if we see her in action tonight. The 40-year-old, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, and one of this sport's sensational pitchers, one of the greats of all time against Triple Crown Colorado in our next game. I know one person who is hoping that she gets the ball. He happens to be calling this game. But a lot of work to tell you about in this playoff encounter between teams who finished 6-7 after the round robin. So their tournament is on the line this afternoon. Kuriharu. There's Millie Fidge already with a base hit in the game, and the starting pitcher laced that foul with authority. Fidge, a good pitcher and a fine hitter. She just completed her first year at the University of Hawaii. No wonder she's in good spirits all the time. Is from Australia. Lovely Adelaide, and then plays college ball and spends the winter in Hawaii. On the ground, Chopper will roll foul. No play for Kimberly Rodas over there. Starting at third, she's from San Bernardino, California. And Fidge, another quality at-bat off another Division I pitcher, Racy Miranda out of California State, Fullerton. In Anaheim, California, and Racy Miranda with her best pitch of the afternoon. A quality changeup. And had movement outside the zone. And it catches Millie Fidge. Strikeout number 2 of the game for Racy Miranda, who has a great hometown name, Strawberry, Arizona. Steph Trzynski. She walked 5 for 8 in the 4 games she has batted in. Also has pitched a team leading 12 and a third. So a third of an inning now more than today's starting pitcher, Millie Fidge, who just struck out for the first out of the inning. Hira Kuraharu. That name has been troubling only because, as a hockey broadcaster, there is a Finnish defenseman in the NHL, and I'm not even going to say his name because then it's going to make it even more difficult. His name is Kiriharhu. Hers is Kuriharu. So it's close, very close. As Trzynski, 1 ball and 2 strikes, the count on the 27-year-old. She's from Adelaide, played college ball in the United States at Cal Berkeley. Strong throw, Cassis, and a dandy. She releases it with authority and quickness. A good pitch, doesn't even get up from her knees, and threw a strike to end the 3rd inning. 1-0, Australia continues to lead in this single elimination playoff game at Softball City. I love popcorn, and so does this fan. Although I must say, ran into an old friend, Rick Floor, whose wife and the Floor family, and it's all her, have a pretzel company. So Rick was kind enough to drop some off today. And they are delicious. So thank you, Rick. So good to see you. Been a long time. Spent some great times with him when I was working in television in the mid-90s in Saskatoon. And he and another great friend of mine, Susan Lee, and her husband. Susan and I worked together at what was then STV, now Global. And her husband, Murray, just awesome people who I hope to get about an hour visit in with tomorrow before Championship Sunday begins, tomorrow here at 1 o'clock. Obviously, the organizers are hoping that Team Canada will be a part of Championship Sunday. They'll play in an elimination game tonight at 8:30 to be involved in the 1 o'clock game, as Millie Fidge working to leadoff batter Kimberly Rodas over at third today. She's only had 5 official at-bats, still looking for her first hit is Kimberly. Just completed her first year at Valparaiso University, where she hit .234 with a home run and 10 runs batted in, and stays alive on the full count pitch by Millie Fidge, who is having herself an excellent afternoon. This would be, I would suggest, a bit of an upset. If this Australia, known in the schedule as Australia A, development team, A team, B team, just know that their national team is participating in a World Cup stage qualifier, one of 3 tournaments, this week in Dublin, Ireland. Next week, another group of 6 will participate in Valencia, Spain, and then a group that Japan, Italy, and Canada will all participate in Butrios, Italy, which will be the site as well of next year's 8-team Women's World Cup. Rodas. Neve Adams into the hole to record out number 1. Neve Adams ranging to her left, cut it off, and made a strong delivery across the diamond for out number 1. Veteran and the designated player today is Stefania Aridias. Tries to lay down the bunt. Catcher Maddie Baker having a little laugh as she stumbled a little trying to get out of the catcher's box to make a play. And there was potentially one there to be made. But remember, this is the 8th game of the week for these athletes. Been a very busy time. How could you not love playing in this tournament at this facility? It is awesome. A softball, as I like to call it, mecca. With the 4 diamonds set in the trees, the rich history. Beautiful area. You take a drive from where we are right here and go, I think it's south. I'm terrible with directions. I just know this. If I get on the road right outside the park and go straight for about 4 minutes, I run right into White Rock in the ocean. Had a chance for 2 hours this week to sit down there, have a bite to eat, and it was glorious. It's a beautiful part of Canada, beautiful part of the world. And that is a lovely pitch, a rise ball for a strikeout by Millie Fidge, who is enjoying her second Southern British Columbia experience in her second consecutive Canada Cup tournament. And that is her first strikeout of the afternoon. Top of the Mexico order, and left fielder, the speedy Savannah Wysocki, who's a threat to bunt, slap, or drive one into the outfield. Squares, pulls back, and there's the slap, but it goes foul. I'm finding at the highest level there are not as many teams, players who are slap hitters for a long time. Even Canada's program at the highest level had a lot of those type of hitters. That has very much changed in the last decade. I know in this country, being Canada with the national team, that's where Canada has made its greatest strides in so many ways in terms of why they're one of the best softball playing countries in the women's game, has been the progression of their hitting. And that was very evident with that great group that was put together, coached by Mark Smith. Wysocki looks like she needs another piece of equipment. Yeah, gets a new bat. And on her way back to the box with a 2-2 count and 2 out here, trailing 1-0 in a game that these teams both need to win if they're to play again today at 8:30. A new bat, Kurihara, in time. Not by much. Juggled it, shoveled it, got the job done. And Australia, behind the pitching of Millie Fidge, continues to lead Mexico 4-1 on playoff Saturday at the Canada Cup. One of my favorite parts of this event is for the youngsters and ball-playing youngsters in the area to be exposed to this kind of competition. And it makes such a huge difference on what Mr. Lefrano has as a 25-degree Saturday afternoon. Just a few clouds making their way over top. They don't look threatening at all, quite fluffy. Have barely seen a cloud for about 3 days in a row. Not sure if they're calling for any kind of precipitation later today. And Racy Miranda, who gave up a run and 3 of the 4 hits that she has given up, came early. And Australia continues to lead 1-0 as we're in the 4th. And the batter is Alyssa Miguel. Playing over at first base. She's from Sydney, Australia, on the topic of beautiful places on our planet. Reminds me a lot. I've never been, but when I see pictures, it brings me right to Vancouver. See a lot of similarities. She played over in Salt Lake City at Salt Lake Community College, where she batted .446. Miguel, and a rare bobble mishandle by Marlene Espinoza. She has had a very good defensive week in this tournament. But the second Mexico error and another leadoff batter. In fact, It's happened now 3 of the 4 innings that Australia has had a leadoff batter aboard. A single elimination playoff game.
Doing a great job, though, man. Thank you. Place is spotless, man. I'm telling you. Keep it all over the park.
Rhiannon Kemp. Squares, chop bunt, base hit. Oh, my goodness. She must have lost sight of the ball. Or there's obstruction. That's what they want. Are they going to get the call? Well, she's going to end up back at second. So the ball is bounced over the head of Kimberly Rodas. So still no one out. Base hit for Kemp. Runners at first and second. And Racy Miranda in a bit of a jam. There's been no activity whatsoever for Mexico. Australia out-hitting Mexico, which is a bit of a stunner. 5-1, and that's not being disrespectful to Australia. Australia managed 11 runs in total in their 7 games during the round robin. What a great time to have your bats working well in a playoff game. Laird, Racy Miranda, and the runner is safe. And some defensive miscues continuing to give Mexico some trouble. And I'm really wondering as I watch this game play out, Mexico the favorite. They were involved in a dramatic, emotional, heartbreaking loss last night in the final game of the round robin, which would have elevated them into the top 4 and a date this morning in the top of the bracket. Top 4 squared off. 5 through 8 are playing one another. And they do not look like they have a lot of juice. Game went into the morning hours. And they have certainly not turned the tournament upside down this week with a 2-6 record, but it does have the feel of maybe thinking about 8:30 more than focusing in on this Australia development team. And now they might need some Advil. They have a headache brewing. Caitlin Laird on the fielder's choice. The bases are loaded with no one out. Let's see how Racy Miranda, more than capable of getting this group out of the jam. Taylor Chillingworth is 4 for 13. Does not have a run batted in yet. This would be a quality time for one. And the drop ball for Racy Miranda is a good one on the outside corner. Chillingworth is from Adelaide as well. She's on her way this coming fall to San Jose State University in California. Great little ballpark. They've just redone it. I've been 2 or 3 times on hockey trips. Always take every opportunity I get to watch this sport at a high level, or any quality level for that matter. So I've seen a couple of games at San Jose State. And Chillingworth, who's on her way there this fall, staying alive. Staying alive on a Saturday. What these two teams are trying to do is after this afternoon's pair of games, one here, one across the way on Diamond 2, will be down from an 8-team tournament to just 6 left. And Racy Miranda with exactly what they needed as Chillingworth was pinch hitting for Sarah Ryu. And an important first out. Neve Adams playing at third. She has one of the 5 Australian hits. And I would suggest this is an opportunity that Nerida Weirn's team does not want to let slip by. This is a chance to really put Team Mexico in some difficulty. They still have 4 at-bats, mind you. Infield in. Saw some amazing defense. Canada turning 2 double plays, and I think maybe a third. Wasn't called that way. In the 1-0 8-inning loss in the other A event winners bracket semifinal. That has Japan and Triple Crown Colorado set to play in a game after this one, and the winner of that game will advance directly to tomorrow's championship final. Well hit. Drives the center fielder back. And deep enough to score the second run as Neve Adams cashes in Australia's second on the long sacrifice fly as it pushed Savannah Wysocki playing in center today deep, and that's a key run batted in for this Australian team. And a good beginning to the playoffs for Neve Adams, who had 3 runs batted in late December in their U23 national championship. Two out, a strike to the batter and leadoff hitter, shortstop Chelsea Robinson.
Oh yeah, nice throw.
Another great throw by Alejandra Casas, the second Australian runner that she has taken care of in the game. A Neve Adams sacrifice fly has Australia in front of Mexico 2-0, going to the bottom of the 4th on playoff Saturday at the Canada Cup. crowd continues to form, and a look at Millie Fidge giving up one hit in her 3 innings of work, shutting out Team Mexico as they need to get their bats going, trailing now by 2 in this elimination playoff game. She has 1 strikeout, facing second base player Marlene Espinoza. And there's hit number 2. Exactly what Mexico, who has struggled to hit today, had in mind. And for Espinoza, that's just her 2nd hit of the Canada Cup. And you don't see this a lot, but I understand why. You generally don't walk a batter to move a runner up a base. You'll do it with a base open. It tells you the kind of respect that Jillian Solis, who's now been walked 5 consecutive times in this tournament, going back to last night's round-robin finale versus Italy. A 7-6, 9-inning loss for Mexico. That's the ultimate respect when you're okay to put the tying run on base with no one out to stay away from a batter. An bunt attempt is a good one from Lena Reboledo, thrown away.
Oh, no!
Espinoza scores. Ball gets away again. Solis is going to score.
Vivelo Mexico!
A 2-2 tie. And Mexico, on a couple of errant Australian throws, finds itself even. 2-2. It was a really good bunt laid down by Lena Reboledo. And Australia will huddle in the circle and try to regroup. As Espinoza led off, scored on the first of 2 throwing errors. Solis was given a free pass intentionally. So you take your chances a little bit, and it has backfired a little bit on Australia. And Lena Reboledo able to move all the way to third now with no one out for Kiana Estrada. And she tried to hit it to Cucamonga or maybe Tijuana. She was not cheated on that swing. See if Millie Fidge, who's had a fine afternoon in the circle. And errors are just so costly. Put the ball in play, force people, young people, inexperienced, tough situations to make some plays. And the base hit. Kiana Estrada, the 19-year-old from Chino Hills, California, and a player at the University of Arkansas, drives in the 3rd Mexican run. And in almost a heartbeat, 2-0 has turned into 3-2 in favor of favored Mexico. Kiana Estrada, who flew out to left her first time up, now 5 for 17, and that's her 2nd run batted in of the Canada Cup, and it gives her team its first lead. So a visit from the head coach. Madeline Ruffin had the only Mexico hit prior to the start of this inning, and the game has changed completely. She drops down a bunt. Neve Adams with a good throw. And Australia makes its first out. And Estrada, who just cashed in the go-ahead run, finds herself in scoring position at second. And Alejandra Casas, 0 for 1 at the plate, but has made a significant contribution behind the plate, thrown out 2 Australian runners attempting to steal second. And we're going to get a running change as Yanina Trevino is going to come in to run for Kiana Estrada, who I'm guessing will see a lot more time and action this coming college season at the University of Arkansas. Only had 6 at-bats. Arkansas, one of the top 20 teams all year long. And she's just 19. Cassis, a pop-up. Adams says she has it, and that is the case. Pop-up to 5. That's the defensive number for third base. And there are 2 out. So good on Millie Fidge to try her best to shake off those 2 consecutive throwing errors on the same play that ended up tying the game, and then gave up a base hit as Estrada, the left-handed hitting first base player, went the other way. Kimberly Rodas, 0 for 1 in the game. Kimberly 0 for 6 in the tournament. And well in front of a quality Millie Fidge changeup. She pitched 39 in the third innings, struck out 40, walked 19 in her first year at the University of Hawaii for the Fighting Rainbows. If you've never had a chance to visit Hawaii, not that I would consider myself a world traveler by any extent, but I highly recommend it. Maui, my favorite. The Fighting Rainbows play over in Oahu, but hard to go wrong in that state. Hard to go wrong in southern British Columbia, or the Okanagan, or a lot of places in this province. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs to Kimberly Rodas. And a swing to keep her alive with Yanina Trevino, the pinch runner, in scoring position as the Mexico slumber has come to an end in the 4th. But they've had help from their friends. 2 throwing errors on the same play completely changed this game, which Australia led 2-0 entering this bottom of the 4th. Off the end of the bat, Maddie Baker with time and delivers a strike for the 3rd out. 2 throwing errors contribute greatly to 3 Mexico runs. And in this single elimination playoff game, Mexico 3, Australia 2, as we move to the top of the 5th. From Softball City,
third base for Team Mexico, number 29, Yanina Trevino. Joining open Trevino playing at first base, and you'll get number 4.
Yanina Trevino stays in the game.
At bat, shortstop, number 14, Chelsea Robinson.
Over at third base, where she has played primarily this week on defense. Came into pinch run for Kiana Estrada as Kimberly Rodas moves over from third to first. Chelsea Robinson to start the fifth for Australia, who surrendered 3 runs in the bottom of the fourth, and for the first time in this elimination game, find themselves down by a run. And Racing Miranda has gone the distance so far, the starting pitcher for Mexico. And Australia really hurt themselves with 2 throwing errors on the same play. A sacrifice bunt thrown away and then collected by the outfielder, and that one ended up on the screen. 2 runs came in, and Kiana Estrada, not in the game right now, has the go-ahead run batted in the game. As 26-year-old Chelsea Robinson pops it up. Solis gets the out, much to the surprise of many. Tough to see from that vantage point, as it found a soft spot in between the pitcher circle and Solis, who has a great arm. I'm not sure that was actually even all that close. But you need good fortune to have success, and there is a break that Australia will take. And I just looked down to their dugout, even their head coach chatting with Team Mexico. You could tell the conversation was like, well, we'll take it. I'm not sure we deserved it, but we will take it. Tough job umpiring on a warm, hot day, although the cloud cover has provided some relief as the clouds have blown over here in Surrey, where on my phone it says it's 29 degrees and an outside chance, but not likely, of precipitation. So the warmest day so far, temperature-wise, of the Canada Cup, and supposed to be in the 25 or 26 department, depending on your weather service on your phone. They're not always the same. Hira Kuraharu laid down a beautiful bunt base hit her last time up. Reached on a fielder's choice and scored the first Team Australia run in the top of the first, as they led 2-0 before a couple of errors proved very costly. And now they find themselves in arrears, down by a run. Kuraharu. Oh, they changed the call over there. They must have got together and changed the call. You're looking at screens and everything going on. They obviously got together and changed the call, and that it was the right call. So there's now 2 out. Well, no, they didn't change the call because she was safe. So now I'm confusing myself. So now there's 2 out. There should be 1 out, I think. They didn't change anything. I tried to change it, maybe subconsciously. So there's 2 down. I inadvertently marked it down wrong in the scorebook. But now there are indeed 2 away. And Millie Fidge swings and misses on an excellent change of pace from Racy Miranda. Fidge has supplied one of the 5 Australian hits, and she's pitched a whale of a game. She's only given up 3 hits. Racy Miranda, as far as her line this afternoon, 4 2/3, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, and has given up 5 hits. And errors did not aid her cause. None of those runs are earned. Solis around it and makes the catch. Mexico 3, Australia's A-team or development team 2. As Mexico to bat and hopes to build on its advantage in an elimination game at Softball City. The 6th place finishing Team Mexico after the round robin, taking on 7th place finishing Australia. The winner stays alive, plays tonight at 8:30. The bunt by Heredias, Millie Fidge. And the call this time is safe, as Stefania Heredias opens the bottom of the 5th with a bunt base hit. As we welcome the Premier of British Columbia, David Evie, who has made his way to Softball City. Great support from the provincial government to help this event, and we thank them. And a pitching change, as Caitlin Laird will come into the game to pitch for Australia. Millie Fidge gave Nerida Weirn an excellent outing today and would still be in the game had it not been for a couple of throwing errors that completely changed the complexion of the game.
Signing up for l'équipe de l'Australie, now pitching for Team Australia, numéro 8, number 8, Caitlin Laird.
Laird is a 20-year-old from Melbourne, Australia, the home of the Australian Open tennis tournament, the state of Victoria. About to enjoy a birthday. She'll turn 21 on August 5th. pitched 20 and 2/3 innings at the U23 National Championship. Batted .359. And then at the Women's Championship, pitched 14 and 2/3 for Victoria. And enters the game in a very key spot after the bunt base hit, courtesy of Stefania Aridius. Laird has worked 10 innings so far in the tournament, given up 12 runs on 12 hits. Struck out 3 and control, and it happens a lot with young pitchers, especially against world-class opponents. And she faces, for sure, world-class opponents at home in the Australian League, but has 11 walks. So on in relief of Millie Fidge. And facing speedy Savannah Wysocki, who bunts it, Neve Adams, and a well-executed sacrifice by Wysocki, who gets down the line, as you just witnessed, in a hurry. So that always, I think, you come in as a pitcher, get an out, settles things down. Marlene Espinoza led off the 3-run fourth with a single, her second hit, and scored on the first of 2 throwing errors on the same play after Lena Reboledo laid down a sacrifice bunt. It was thrown into right field and picked up in right field and ended up at the screen down from the gate of the Mexico dugout on the third base side, and 2-0 Australia became 2-2. And the next batter was Kiana Estrada, who drove in the go-ahead run. As Lena Reboledo on that sacrifice ended up all the way at third. Alyssa Reboledo coming into the game to run for Stefania Aridius. This is not going to be an easy play in front of the right fielder. And another base hit for Espinoza, who has 2 hits in the game and had 1 hit in the tournament coming in. She's been great defensively.
Don't forget to get your Canada Cup 50/50 tickets.
A valiant effort out there in right field.
All proceeds will go towards our new Super Kids program, which will be held tomorrow after the championship game.
As Sarah Ryu went a long way to try to get to that ball, a diving attempt and just out of her reach. 1 out, runners at the corners now. Alyssa Reboledo at third, Marlene Espinoza, and see how Mexico handles, from an offensive standpoint, this first and third scenario. And the same can be said about how Australia might handle it. They walk Jillian Solis again. That's the 6th consecutive time she's been walked in the last 2 days by an opponent. Will she ever get a chance to hit again? 4 home runs for Jillian Solis, was batting .611 coming in. And Lena Reboledo up in a key spot. Bases are loaded with the free pass to Solis, which didn't play itself out all that well the last time, but that was because of 2 Australian throwing errors. As Caitlin Laird comes inside. 2 balls, no strikes to Lena Reboledo. From Riverside, California. A hit here could really put Mexico in the driver's seat. And I think if my bracketology is correct, would earn Mexico a potential date with Canada. Reboledo. Ball is cut off, and Lena Reboledo has a 2-run single. And a big blow delivered by Mexico. Lena Reboledo cashes in 2 more Mexico runs with the bases loaded. And 5-2 is now the count in favor of Mexico. Kiana Estrada's come back in to the game at first. Mexico down 2-0. And now, or pardon me, she's come back into bat. Reboledo, 99, not 86. After a clutch hit. And her first 2 runs batted in of this tournament, according to the stat sheets. And it's 5-2 Mexico. A berth in the championship final tomorrow at 6 will be on the line in the next game here, scheduled for 6. Japan and Triple Crown Colorado. Triple Crown Colorado broke the Canadian Hearts earlier today, winning 2-1 in 8 innings on a Hannah Gamble 2-out single to left after Erica Polidori, the Olympic bronze medalist, had cashed in with Canada's first hit of the game to give Canada a 1-0 lead and look like it might stand up. So Japan and Triple Crown Colorado coming up next is Jorge Araujo, one of the Mexican coaches. Nancy Prieto is the head coach of Team Mexico, and they're a much happier bunch than they were even 40 minutes ago when they trailed by a count of 2-0. Estrada more than capable of adding to the advantage as well. She has a hit today. Is Laird, who has just entered the game recently, in place of Millie Fidge. And it is in the circle in so many ways that separates this field of 8 teams. Caitlin Laird with an excellent change of pace that Kiana Estrada was well in front of. And if Australia is going to find their way back in this elimination game, they cannot give up, one wouldn't think, anymore. They may have given up too many now. Madeline Ruffin playing out in right field to start today. Jillian Solis, who has been walked intentionally 3 times in a row, is at second. Maddie Baker, the throwback, and Solis, the 21-year-old from Corona, California, back in plenty of time. She will be a stalwart, if she decides, for a long time on Team Mexico. Will shortstop Jillian Solis. They don't even want to pitch to her. They're going to start nicknaming her Bonds for all the intentional walks she has drawn here. After 2 home run performance in a losing cause, 7, 6, and 9 innings last night to Team Italy, which is the reason why Mexico was in the bottom bracket instead of in the top 4. A flyout by Madeline Ruffin. 2 more. Mexico runs on a 2-run single off the bat of Lena Reboledo. And Mexico now in command at 5-2 after 5 at Softball City. Racy Miranda. Bit of a tough start with her control, but settled right in. And now her teammate, with some help from a couple of Australian errors, has her team in command, trying to move in and keep their tournament hopes alive. As after this afternoon's action, 2 teams will be eliminated and only 6 will remain. And by the end of the night, there will be 4 teams left for the final day of competition here tomorrow at Softball City. Steph Trzynski, who's had a good hitting week, the 27-year-old. For Team Australia, and they could use a hit. Tries to lay down a bunt base hit, and she'll do so. Excellent bunt. Is Steph Trzynski has hit number 6. 6 for 11. Now in the tournament is Steph Trzynski, who also entered the event as the number 1 and veteran pitcher, as Alejandra Casas does well to collect that ball that got away from Racy Miranda on the way to home plate. And it would appear we have an absolutely wild game going on next door It's another elimination game between Greece and Israel. And in the top of the fifth, Israel, who finished fifth in the round robin, they were involved in a tie for fifth with Mexico, but they won the round robin game. Both teams ended up at 3 and 4. They lead Greece 7-6 in the fifth next door. Greece is currently batting in the top of the fifth. 7-6 Israel. And I believe the winner of that game will face Italy in another elimination game tonight. Solis! The tremendous shortstop. Ranges into the hole at short, and against the flow shows off one of her best attributes, a strong throwing arm. To record the out on first base player Alyssa Miguel, Rhiannon Kemp scored the second Australian run, or drove in the second Australian run. Kemp, 1 for 2. Rodas, who's gone from third to first, back to third with the re-entry of Estrada, who's back at first. Makes a fine throw across the diamond. And there are 2 away. And Caitlin Laird, who's come into the game to pitch, with a chance to help her and her team's cause if she could single and drive in a run. Steph Trzynski, who opened the inning with a bunt base hit. Is at second base. The changeup, and Caitlin Laird did very well to lay off of it. So Racy Miranda has not been under a lot of pressure since the first, although under duress, gave up a run in the fourth, and a little more brewing here maybe in the sixth. So a really important at-bat for Australia if they're to get back in the game. "7-6" it remains on the other diamond as Israel bats in the bottom of the fifth. Canada will play the 8:30 game on this diamond tonight. Espinoza on the run and delivers. Trzynski a leadoff hit, but is stranded. And now Team Mexico, coming to bat in the sixth, is 3 outs away from keeping their Canada Cup hopes alive as we take a look at one of the team members of Team Ukraine. What a story they have been. And hope that they have had an absolute great time. How would I know? Yeah, thank you.
So you played hockey and baseball throughout youth, and of course basketball in high school.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
6'7".
Is he?
Just some stats.
Thank you. Can you give me him, Luciano? Luciano, can you go back to him? Crowd continues to grow, and wearing that Team Ukraine hat, my apologies. I mentioned he was here, and what we have to celebrate is the reason he is wearing a Ukraine hat. The Premier of the province of British Columbia, David Eby, who goes 6'7", and without incredible contribution from the government, is between government and foundation and the great generosity of people around the world. You didn't have to be from just British Columbia to contribute. More than $60,000 was raised to bring the U19 national team from the Ukraine, and I hope they are having a great time. And we thank the Premier for being here and making this a better event. Alejandra Casas is making it a better event today for Mexico. A triple for the young catcher. Talked about her athleticism. She throws it well. Hasn't had a lot of at-bats. Impressed when she has. And has a leadoff triple to start the bottom of the sixth. And another run would most certainly put this game away. Thanks to our great friend, Dave Hunter, trying to keep me straight. I'm not always taking his great direction as well as I could. Tells me that Mr. Eby is a former basketball player and stands 6'7", and you can tell, sitting beside president of this event, longtime chairman, president, Greg Tim, and Greg right there is not a small human. He's in the 6'3", 6'4" neighborhood himself. Is Greg, who does such a sensational job. And I know in chatting with him prior to the event just how delighted he was with the cooperation of the provincial government. What Greg really wants this event to continue to be is just that, an event. They're hoping in years to come to bring in entertainment, to make it more than just softball, because it's pretty great at that. Rodas, sacrifice fly, good strong throw from Ryu, but the speedy Casas slides in safely. And Mexico on the road to playing an 8:30 game here tonight. Triple Crown, Colorado. Japan next. In a tussle of teams who finished 1-2 in the round robin. Japan and Triple Crown, Colorado, both winners earlier today. Mexico responding well, trailed 2-0. As Elisa Reboledo is hit by the pitch, and she'll scamper down to first base. Japan beat Italy in our first winners bracket playoff game to advance to the showdown against Triple Crown Colorado. And in a heartbreaker, Triple Crown Colorado scored 2 in the bottom of the 8th, an extra inning. Thank you, Luciano. Give you a little precursor on our screen to what's coming your way next here from Softball City. Broke Canadian Hearts with a 2-1 win. Canada will play to keep their tournament hopes alive in the final game on this diamond tonight at 8:30 in hopes of being one of the final 4 teams to participate on Sunday when 8 that started turn into 4. There's interference, and that's the call. And out number 2, as you must allow the fielder to make a play on the ball, and Elisa Reboledo did not do that. And great call by the second base umpire who made it quickly. So well done for the men and women in blue. Been a great afternoon for Marlene Espinoza at the plate. She's 2 for 3. Has 3 total hits in the tournament, and 2 have come in her last at-bat. And a diving try by Kuraharu. And Espinoza has her 3rd hit of the afternoon. Well, she hasn't always had great luck. And guess who gets the free pass? They're going to start calling her. Her nickname will be Free Pass. Jillian Solis intentionally walked for the 4th time in this game. 7 times, I believe, in a row going back to last night's round-robin finale against Team Italy. After she hit 2 consecutive home runs in that contest. Lena Reboledo is up again with the bases loaded. She was as well in the 5th. And her blow, a single, turned 3-2 into 5-2 and now 6-2. And a ball into the gap could end this game with a 7-run rule that exists in this sport. If you're up by 7 or more after your opponent bats 5 times, the game is over. Not likely, but is still an opportunity for that to occur. In the dirt to Lena Reboledo, who has walked. She was also involved in the other very crucial point of the game. She laid down a sacrifice bunt when it was 2-0 to move runners to 2nd and 3rd. But the ball was thrown away into right field, and then the next throw was spilt, ended up against the fence. 2 runs scored, and the game was tied. And the following batter, Estrada, who's in the on-deck circle, followed with a base hit to left field. So Reboledo has been very involved this afternoon to keep Mexico's tournament title hopes alive. And fouls this back to the screen. No glass broken, thank goodness. It remains 7-6 Israel over Team Greece in a wild one. In fact, as I look again, Greece has just tied it at 7. Greece went through the round robin without a win in a controversial game yesterday that ended up being played under protest not once but twice. They push Triple Crown Colorado to the brink. And they've tied Israel at 7, going to the bottom of the 6th. Here at 6-2, we're going to the top of the 7th. Mexico 3 outs away from moving on and eliminating Australia's A team at the Canada Cup. Now, I love that shirt. That's a good-looking shirt right there. We welcome everyone to Softball City. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage half as much as we have. Game 3 of 5 playoff games on this diamond on this Saturday. On a great day. Don't mind the fact that the clouds have kind of taken over a little bit. Very pleasant. So, Team Australia got off to an excellent beginning. They led 2-0 in the top of the 4th, and everything changed on a sacrifice bunt and a couple of throwing errors that tied the game. Mexico added another in the same inning, 2 more in the 5th, and then some more insurance. As Racy Miranda has gone the distance, she's given up 6 hits. Has not given up an earned run. The 2 were unearned. A couple of early Mexico errors caused them some trouble and got them behind, but they've worked their way out of it. Sarah Ryu, the batter. Next door, Greece and Israel involved in an interesting game. 7-7 in the elimination game between the 5th place finisher and the 8th place finisher. And bless you. That was a quality offering by Softball Premier TVs. What a pleasure it has been to get to know Luciano and his lovely wife. I'd like to see their travel bill this year. That would be interesting. And now if I could only hide in their luggage for all of it, and it is punched foul. Down the line, they've been showing us some pictures today from other events that they have produced and streamed around the world. From Mexico, as Luciano and his wife do a lot of work in the Americas region overall, do a lot of work in the men's ISC community. And a base hit, a double, maybe a triple. Sarah Ryu's first hit of the Canada Cup is a triple. Neve Adams says, way to go, Sarah. We're not going down without a fight before we make our way back home. Neve Adams is the batter. She's from Adelaide. I think we had a friend stop by, meaning a foul ball from that Israel-Greece showdown. Maybe it was something else, but it caught everyone's attention here. I just didn't happen to see what occurred. Neve Adams has a base hit. Mexico has out-hit Australia just 9-7. So another game maybe closer than the score right now would indicate. There's Racy Miranda trying to put it away and then think about another elimination game tonight at 8:30. And the sun is coming back out in what I like to call, between 6 and 8 o'clock, our broadcast booth, the Easy Bake Oven, and heating up. Team Australia, they play with great passion. They've had just a great time. And so excited for Sarah Ryu, who tripled. First hit of the tournament, and Neve Adams has her second of the game. And I don't think Jorge Araujo and Nancy Prieto will make a pitching change, but they want to settle Racy Miranda from Strawberry, Arizona, and a collegiate player at Cal State Fullerton. Just to settle in. Our work is not quite officially done. Japan and Triple Crown Colorado to follow. It was not what we were expecting in the round robin. Japan won it handily, 7-0. I have a sense that it might not be that way tonight. However, the juggernaut that are the Japanese, one of two powerhouses in the sport of women's softball, have been all that and more so far. Chelsea Robinson, Racy Miranda, who's a tall pitcher, climbed the ladder and records the first out of the top of the 7th inning. That's a good defensive play, and that's a great shot from the drone. At times, I'm not sure what to think of what I have labeled Donnie Drone. Gives great shots. You can find it in screens and in other places sometimes when it has a mind of its own. It was stuck right in the screen in front of me for about 3 games earlier in the week, but thanks to the great staff here, I don't know exactly how they got it down. Of course, Dave Hunter got it down. Thank you, Mr. Hunter. I knew it was you. Just had to double check.
Pitcher number 6, Carrie Pritchard.
Carrie Pritchard comes in to hit. 1 out. Runner at second is Neve Adams. Carrie Pritchard is just 18. She's from the state of Victoria. Plays for that state in national championships. Played in both the U23 and the women's national championship this year when they put together their state teams and play for national titles in Australia. She will not turn 19 until the 6th of August. She was 6 for 18 at the U23s, and then actually 8 for 16 against all of Australia's best as far as players staying at home. Australia with a number of excellent players who play collegiately and in some cases professionally in Japan outside of their home country. Pritchard. 2-2 the count to Kerry Pritchard. And if you're wondering, we will see Mio Gato, who will get the start tonight for Japan, and it looks like David King is going to start Carlin Pickens out of the University of Tennessee. On the ground, Espinoza, and Australia down to their last out of a second straight appearance at the Canada Cup. It's a great relationship between Softball Australia, Softball Canada, with the Canada Cup Committee, and we are so happy to have our Australian friends make their way over. Long flight. I think it's in the neighborhood of 17 hours from Vancouver to Australia, depending on where you are in that country. So it is a long haul, but great to see them. And they're such fine people. All my dealings with Australians in this sport over the years have been nothing but excellent. Millie Fidge, Rodas, Mexico, moving on to the final 6 as they rebound from an early 2-0 deficit to win 6-3. And to Nerida Weirns, Team Australia, thank you so much for being a great competitor, for bringing your, and they're a lot of fun, this Australia group from all accounts. I know they were a year ago when I had a little more time to catch some of the splendor and glory at this event. And on the topic of splendor and glory, we're set for the biggest game to be played yet at this Canada Cup. It's Triple Crown, Colorado, and 8-0 Japan coming up in about half an hour for the right to play in tomorrow evening's championship final. I'll be with you along with Amanda Fama then. So long for now from Softball City.
For the latest in softball innovation, the website where you can experience the best tournaments in the Americas. Live games, news, tournaments, and much, much more. The best quality live softball, on demand so you can watch when you want. Become a premier member now. Softball